It was 600,000 for the baby boomers. It multiplied by 8 with Gen X, and then it doubled again with the millennials.
There's a man inside me, and only when he's finally out can I walk free of pain.
If a man and wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same statistical chance as children raised by just their father.
And secondly, I know you're the big marriage expert. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your wife is dead.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another short video today. This is going to be a little different. We are going to look over we have two clips we're going to look over today, and one of them is going to be talking about the rise in single mothers, you know. We've talked about that a few times here. The next is going to be the what basically happens in a single mother household and how some information doesn't get out, that they don't, a select few doesn't want this information to get out, but we're going to go over it on that second clip. But let's go ahead and let's get this started. My name is Ratboi. Let's get into it.
Is a fact or statistic that seems fake but is real?
That in literally 2 generations, the amount of single mother households has exploded 16 times what it was in the baby boomer generation. It was 600,000 for the baby boomers. It multiplied by 8 with Gen X, and then it doubled again with the millennials.
So I'm going to back this up a little bit. We're going to take a look at this. 600K for baby boomers. So, you know, that generation is going to be the 30s, 40s generation. Gen X is the, 60s, 70s. About the tail end of the 80s. There's some Gen X in the tail end of the 80s. Sure, why not? And then the millennials are going to be the 80s and 90s. So it multiplied by 8 with Gen X, which obviously isn't good. And then it doubled again with the millennials, 4.1 million more. So, I mean, you can do the math on that. It's these are not good numbers at all.
With the millennials. So for the last 2 generations, we've had millions of children growing up in fatherless households.
So this is something interesting. Last 2 generations, we have millions of kids growing up in fatherless households. And mothers, 30% of single mothers live below the poverty line. I 100% think that this is all according to plan by certain people, you know. And the reason I say that is because of, I mean, just look at some of the laws that are being pushed. A lot of times these mothers cannot even get on assistance unless they have absolutely no income at all. So they are being forced to not work to get assistance for their kids, daycare assistance, food, stuff like that. A single mother that works doesn't get any assistance at all usually. And the pay that a single mother will get isn't even enough to pay for like childcare or daycare. So a lot of times the talking points will be, you know, just don't be a single mother, have both parents there. But that's not the culture that they're pushing now, you know. That's not the culture that you're going to be seeing on social media, because all of that sort of traditional mother father sort of nuclear family is not seen on social media. It's actually pushed away, and instead you have the thirst traps, the dancing, and the single mothers being praised for being single mothers, which is kind of just insane if you ask me.
And mothers that live below the poverty line, and only getting worse. Here's some more stats on.
Let's pause it right here. Let's read through some of this. A report from the U.S. Census Bureau reveals that 62% of new moms in their early 20s are unmarried. Interesting. The report also found that 36% of all moms were unwed in 2011, up from 31% in 2005. In families with incomes of less than $10,000, that number goes up to 69%. So that definitely $10,000 per household is well below the poverty line. Single moms are one of the most disadvantaged groups in the U.S. I think that's by design. Nearly 30% of their families live under the poverty line, and according to the U.S. Census, it's compared with 62% of families with married parents. Well, obviously, if you have two parents that are working toward the household, it's going to be a lot easier. You don't have to pay for daycare. The mom usually stays at home with the kids, and the dad is usually working. And statistics show that men do get paid more, not necessarily as far as wage, but as far as work is considered. They usually do the more manual labor jobs. They usually work longer hours, and they usually get paid more doing that. 18.4% of all births in the U.S. in 1980 were unmarried women. And then let's jump to 2008. 40.6% of all births in the U.S. in 2008 were unmarried women. And that number is probably a lot higher in 2023. In 1960, just 5 million children under 18 lived with only their mother. By 1980, that number has more than doubled. We talked about that. Today, according to the Annie E. Casey Foundation, 19 million children live in single mother families, up from 17 million in 2000. In some school districts today, including several in New York City and Michigan, the majority of families are led by a single mother. Again, this is all by design. No mom, and here's my opinion about this. I don't think a mom wants to be single, but it is what it is. Whenever you have social media pushing a narrative, a lot of these young mothers fall into that trap. 25 million children are growing up without fathers in the home. That's 40% of the kids in America, as reported to the Center of Children and Families. 40% of all live births in the U.S. are single mothers. 90% of welfare recipients are single mothers. And see, that number right there is telling you a lot. 90% of all welfare recipients are single mothers. A lot of them, they have to be on welfare because that's just the way it is. It's just it's the statistic. They became a statistic. So let's continue on with this clip.
Single mothers, pause to read. And again, more statistics.
And this is very interesting. A lot of times they'll use this single parent families, but wherever it says single parent families, you have to understand that doesn't mean single father. It means single mothers. There are very, very few single parent families that involve just a father that are in these statistics. Actually, I would go ahead and say that none of these that they did this poll, the Census Bureau, are single fathers, honestly. And this was taken in 2009 to 2011. 75% chemical abuse, 71% school dropouts, 80% with grape, 85% children that exhibit behavioral disorders, 90% homeless and runaways, 63% youth Minecraftings. Then you have 85% of all youth sitting in prison are from single mother households. These are not good statistics.
So go ahead and pause to read.
And one more thing is whenever you have, and this next video will touch on it, and I'm just going to let this next video play because you'll do a lot better explaining it than I will. But whenever you have for-profit prisons, and then you see a statistic that says a majority of single mothers, the kids in those households become incarcerated, that is a paycheck to a lot of people. A lot of people start seeing dollar signs, and we're talking about the people that profit from these prisons, not everyday people. Let's watch this next clip.
The more opportunities a child has to interact with biological father, the less likely they are to commit a crime or have contact with the juvenile justice system. Okay, another way to say that is Men and women who are incarcerated, the population of the prisons mostly encompass fatherless homes.
So basically, what that's saying is pretty much everyone in prison, everyone that's been arrested, if you ask them, they'll say that they were raised by a single mother. Don't you see? That is a really messed up statistic right there.
Now, here's something that no one else has mentioned, which I think is cool, and I don't really say this eloquently. If a man and wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same statistical chance as children raised by just their father. So if we want to keep children, adults, out of prison, mother, father, or just father. Well, we don't want to hear just father, so let's try to keep the families intact.
And that's the talking points is you'll never hear in the media, oh, well, if you want to keep these kids out of prison, then I'll let the father raise them. No, 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 no. See, they're not going to say that in the media. They're going to say, keep your family together. But we all know that's not going to happen. You know, this is why these single mothers are, you just need to stay away from them. Not even with, you know, I always say this, if you're trying to find someone to date anyone but a single mother. They're disillusioned. They're trapped, pretty much. They are trapped. And these kids are not doing well by these single moms. I would say 99% of the time, the father that actually wants to have the kids that never gets to see them will do a much better job. But let me know what you guys think. That's going to be the end of this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Ratboi out.